Morning, everyone. Um, as Pastor indicated, actually go back. I'm Lee Paulson, the Stewardship Chair at St. Stephen, if you don't know me. I'd like to welcome you to the kickoff to our Fall 2020 Stewardship Drive. It's going to be called Giving and Gratitude this year. This is actually the second of a 3-year series of stewardship materials that we received from Reverend Kurt Ordby. He is our capital appeal coach that we've hired as part of the capital campaign, and this is sort of our second of those three. I've got a little bit of material to walk through today, sort of resonating on this theme of giving and gratitude. I'll give you everybody an update on our financial reporting, where we are through the end of September, and then also an update on the capital appeal survey that we started a few weeks ago. Okay, so if our theme for this year is giving and gratitude, the first slide here that I have up is called Living in Gratitude, and the stewardship team thought it would make a lot of sense to spend some time talking about what we can be thankful for in terms of the life and mission of St. Stephen this year. 2020 has been a really hard year for a lot of people. I don't think anyone's going to look back and say that 2020 was easy, right? It's been tough. It's been really tough, especially when you think about church. I'm standing here looking at that makes perfect sense in light of everything we're dealing with, that we need to be separated like this. But one of the first things that came to mind as we started thinking about what can we be grateful for this year is sort of the upper left-hand corner of that slide on the screen. And it's a snag from our Facebook live stream of the service, right? So one of the first things we thought of was, even though we can't be together, we don't have to be apart. And we're really thankful for the AV team working together. A way for all of us to continue to worship together, right? Either right now live, or if you're watching this a little bit later, you can still commune, right, with the body here without physically having to be. So really thankful for that. If we kind of go from there clockwise around to the center part of the chart there, we've got the Grow, Don't Mow community garden that we set up this year. So again, we're not physically here. You want me to talk a little closer to the mic? All right. So again, we're not physically here using the building a ton, and some members of our church had the great idea to just convert a strip of grass right on the property into a community garden. And you can see a shot of a couple members there working. You can see some of the greens and tomatoes that we produce to help deliver food to folks. And then kind of related to that, we have on the top there the little food pantry that we were able to put out in front of the church to be able to help people with food insecurity issues, right? So again, even though we're not here feeding people, we're still finding a way to help, right? We're going to move the mic higher. Still not working? What's that? People are commenting that it's hard to see. Oh, okay. Or hard to hear. All right, let's try that. Okay, so keep going. Upper right-hand corner then, Family Promise of Lynn County. Again, this is another opportunity for us to help serve people who are struggling and need help. We help move Family Promise into a couple rooms in our basement this year, so their offices are here now. These are rooms that we certainly aren't using right now, but beyond that, we really weren't using them a whole lot before either. So this is a really great way for us to take space we weren't using a lot and help another group out. Right? Going down from there, sort of the 3 o'clock position on the slide, we're thankful for 2 new members of the church that joined this year. Evan and Isabel, they joined a couple weeks ago as they gave their affirmation of faith. These are former confirmands who have now officially joined the church, right? They're full adult voting members of the church now. Below that, in a similar theme, we have the confirmation class this year. I think we have 8, maybe 9 students this year. That's a really big jump from years past. The last few years, 3, 4 kids, right? So a big jump up to 8 this year. Very thankful for that even though, again, we don't have a bunch of kids back in the corner of our church, in the sanctuary every morning, we're still able to help them grow in their faith, and they're participating in confirmation through like Zoom. Really excited about that. And then the last in the lower left-hand corner are 3 shots of what Pastor mentioned a few minutes ago, right, was of us helping clean up after the derecho. And there's two ways to look at that, really. It's, we've been able to come together as members of the church and help people whose homes were damaged by the storm. And we've heard from a number of them how thankful they are, how grateful they are, members of our church are, that we've been able to help. But I would say above and beyond that, also, I know I feel grateful for the opportunity to go help people clean up. Sometimes when life is kind of tough and you're dealing with a lot, it's really nice to be able to go help people. So I think you can really think about storm cleanup in two ways, right? We should have some sense of thanksgiving and gratitude that we're able to go out and physically help people, improve their lives and clean up after the storm. So, we'll send these slides out later, and you can certainly spend some time thinking about them and everything else. But we really thought it would be helpful as we think about giving to reflect on the things we do have to be thankful for the mission and the life at St. Stephen's that continues, even though this year is just really weird, right, and tough. So, next slide. Okay, this is Robin's chart, but for the sake of social distancing, I'm going to present it. She's been kind enough to let me talk through this. This is our update on financial reporting for through the end of September of this year. So it's not a year end, but it gives us a pretty good sense of where we're going to be at the end of the year. So pretty easy to read this simple summary here, I think. But the first line up there in the little table says January 1st, 2020, we had about $29,000 in our checking account. If you go down from there, you have all contributions and income, $166,814. The thing that's kind of important to note there is compared to our budget projections, that was actually down about $9,900, so just about $10,000. And I think a lot of that comes to the budgeted projections of revenue for in-person unpledged giving, which I'll talk to a little bit more in a moment. But I think everyone who pledged for the last year has been incredibly faithful, and we are so thankful for your faithfulness and your continuing to give despite not being here. But it's important to note that when we think about budgets and how to set a budget for the church, we also have to kind of model that in-person giving, which is obviously down because there's no one in the church, right, to give. Below that, we have the change of designated funds of $13,369, where we've dispersed more gifts than we've received. You can think of a designated fund as being like the loaf fund, the love one another fund. It makes sense that we would be giving out more than we received in this case, because there's a lot of people in need this year. And then the last is our expenses are down, are $142,427. So again, compared to budget estimates, that's lower by $28,000 due to COVID-19. We're not in the building as much. We don't have to run the heat as much, things like that. But another big piece of that is we did receive a $23,000 forgivable loan. You can think of it as like a grant from the PPP program. And that really helped us a lot to help cover staff salaries for a chunk of this year. And if you look at all these numbers, at the end of the day on the September 30th, we're at $40,000 roughly in our checking account, which is about $11,000 higher than we started. But if you think about the Paycheck Protection Plan of $23,000 more than we had estimated, less the gift of the sort of the budgeted revenue of $9,000, that comes out to about $13,000 of that $11,000 can be accounted for just in those differences. So we are very thankful for the $23,000 that we received from the PPP loan, but it's important for us to keep that in mind as we go forward and plan a budget for next year. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so I'm just going to remind everybody of how the budgeting process works here at St. Stephen's. Our step one in every budget that we ever come up with is our strategic plan. Normally, we would have a strategic plan for next year that was different than the year before. This year, because everything is just so unique and really can't see much of what's going to happen in 21, we're just going to hold a flat budget relative to the strategic plan and just hold a goal of a flat budget. It's very difficult to forecast right now. Step two is what we're doing right now. We're kicking off the stewardship drive. Step three would be an operating plan. And the operating plan would effectively take that budget and slice it up into, you can see the wedges of the pie over there between the knowing, living, and sharing Christ elements of our mission, thank you, Pastor, our mission at St. Stephen's. And that is going to happen after the stewardship drive is done, and then the church will approve a plan in December or January? Okay, February, right. So the plan will be approved early next year. The church will have to vote on it. So a good chunk of this process is effectively in our church constitution, effectively, right? So there's just a refresh. Can we go to the next slide? But here's something I wanted to comment on. As we think about budgeting in 21, it's going to be kind of a unique year for a lot of reasons. One is it's very likely that the in-person unpledged element of our giving is going to be low. Again, we don't quite know when everyone's going to be able to be in the building again. So just like it is this year, it's likely to be low next year. We're also a little unsure whether we're going to be able to receive another PPP loan or grant in 21. No one really knows if there's going to be another round of stimulus that we can receive. So in light of that, even though we're holding a flat budget for 21, the stewardship team would like to ask everyone if you're able to consider increasing your support, fully understanding that everyone's in a very different situation right now than anyone even planned on being a year ago, right? Totally understand if that's not an option for you, but if it is something you can do, please consider it. And then related to that also, if you can sign up for an EFT or doing recurring online contributions, please consider doing that as well. Again, it's very hard to receive your gifts in person, so if you want to support us, online and EFT are really the most predictable and straightforward ways to do that. And Jenny Weber can help you if you don't know how to do that. Okay, next slide. I include this in here as a point of reference. It's our proportionate giving scale. So if you're looking at increasing your giving, and there are a number of people in church who have told me that they have a long-term goal of reaching a tithe type level. So if they think about trying to increase your giving, or you're trying to set a goal for yourself, in years past we've had some sort of a growth goal derived from our strategic plan. This year, we're really just going to say, if you want to increase your giving, set yourself a goal of like 1%. That's not an unreasonable way to think about this. And I include the little box around the 1% line and leave you the chart so that you can go to the left-hand side, go to the first column, look at your annual household income, or the second column, look at your monthly income. And then whatever number is in that 1% chart, that would represent an increase of 1%. So if your household income is $60,000, a $50 per month increase in your commitment would be a 1% increase. Pretty simple, but it's useful sometimes to have it just in a chart instead of having to pull out your calculator. So next slide. Ways to pledge for 2021. Primarily, we're going to ask everyone to pledge online this year. We will be sending out a link. The form, you can see sort of a couple screenshots of it there on the right-hand side. It's been generated. We'll be sending it out relatively soon. Just like in years past, all the responses are kept confidential. The link can be distributed, but that form populates a spreadsheet that only Jenny Weber can see. I have the link to the slide or to the form. I can't see anyone's pledges, just so everybody's aware. The link will be distributed in the e-news, on the website, and via email. There will be a letter coming out to help also sort of kick off this stewardship drive. And with that, there will be a pledge form. If you want to use the paper form, you're going to have to return it by mail. We really don't have a good way to have everyone return them in like an offering plate like we have in years past. And then all forms received by November 22nd, so 3 weeks from now, will be entered into a drawing to win a fabulous prize. We don't know what that's going to be yet, but they've been pretty good in years past, and Pastor's pretty creative. No pressure. All right, next slide. Okay, I'm going to switch gears for just a moment and talk about our capital appeal survey. As everyone probably knows, we paused our capital appeal earlier this year as the pandemic was hitting and we were having to shift how we were worshiping, and there was a significant economic impact, so we decided to hit pause. And we've asked the church through a survey whether they're ready to resume that capital appeal. And I'd like to tell you that 41 households from the church responded. I've got sort of a simple depiction there on the right of the results, and you can see that the blue yes now and the orange in the new year represent 85% of the total responses received. So I think that's really positive. It's consistent with the initial vote that we had to go forward with the capital appeal. Given the timing of these results, the fact that it's early November already, it's unlikely we would start anything before Christmas anyway. So expect to hear something from the capital appeal team early next year. And in the same spirit of giving and gratitude, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who responded. Thank you that 41 of the households did respond. It's really helpful to have that sort of feedback. So thank you. Okay, last slide. All right. So summary, again, please, when you think about your pledge this year, give in gratitude. Think about the things you're thankful for the life and the mission at St. Stephen's. Please consider upping your commitment by 1% as you're able, as you think about how to pledge. I cannot get up here without asking you to sign up for an EFT. I don't have any shirts to give you this year, but I'll give you a virtual high five. So happy to jump on a Zoom and give you a high five for that. Please have all your forms in by November 22nd. Again, you can win a fabulous prize. And, we normally do a Thanks for Giving brunch every year. It's obviously not going to happen this year, so let's just put it on the books for next year, maybe, right? So November 21. Save the date. That's all I have. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you for giving. Thank you for supporting the life and work and the mission of St. Stephen's.